Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurime Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namah Om Ganganapate Namaha Om Shrim Rim Klim Glom Gam Ganapate Varavarada Sarvajanam Meva Shamanaya Svaha Om Shrim Rim Klim Glom Gam Ganapate Varavarada Sarvajanam Meva Shamanaya Svaha Om Shrim Rim Klim Glom Gam Ganapate Varavarada Sarvajanam Me Vashamanaya Svaha Om Vakratundai Hum 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 Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Sarvamangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanyatrambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Saustata Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Shri Gunatitoksharam Brahma Bhagavan Purushottamaha Jano Janandidam Satyam Muchyate Bhava Bandhanat Om Shri Swaminarayanaya Namaha Om Shri Lakshmi Narayanaya Namaha Om Shri Krishna Narayanaya Namaha Om Shri Vasudev Narayanaya Namaha Om Shri Narayanaaya Namaha Om Shri Badri Narayanaya Namaha Om Shri Rama Narayanaya Namaha Om Shri Shiva Narayanaya Namaha Om Namah Shivaya 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 Om Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 16th of January 2023. I want to offer my Danvat Pranam, Anantakoti Namaskara, Anantakoti Danvat Pranam to all the great saints, sages, enlightened beings in the past who are present on the planet today and yet to come in the future, and to the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Parabrahma Paramatma, Aksharatit Parabrahma Paramatma, the one without a second, Ekameva Dvitiyam Brahma, the one that exists everywhere, the one that exists only as the ultimate reality. To that Supreme Paramatma we offer our prostrations and humble prayers. With that prarthana, we are continuing by the grace of Bhagwan Shankar and Adi Jagat Guru Shankaracharya Ji to contemplate on Vivek Chudamani. Bhagwan ki krupa vina satsang hota hi nahi. ये विचार आ ही नहीं सकता कि सत्संग करना चाहिए. ये कृपा से ही होता है. In this world, there are millions of other things to do and to think about other than Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya is the ultimate knowledge, ultimate truth, ultimate realization. Isse par koi vidya hai nahi. So with that understanding, we are examining the basic concepts of Vedanta because they have to be very clear in all of our minds. Extremely clear. So along those lines, there are various slides that have been created, and I'm going to send these actually today. As soon as we're done here with our morning satsang, I'm going to send them to you on WhatsApp. You can download them, and if you need them in another format, just let me know. So we have been talking about Avastha Traya. You know, we've been talking about Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Shushupti Avastha. And last time, which was day before yesterday, we started talking about these connections among all of this. I just want to quickly go over this again, just to make sure that this is clear in everyone's mind. There are basic ideas in Vedanta, that is Shariratraya, Panchakosha, Avastatraya, and Antakarana. Right? So the Shariratraya means three bodies: physical, subtle, causal. The subtle body is where this whole dream avastha occurs. That's what we have been talking about, and we're going to go further into that today. The dream state is a most mysterious state. It is more mysterious than the waking one. The reason behind that is that it is a different plane of consciousness compared to the waking state. There's a transition from the Jagrat Avastha into the Swapna Avastha. You can see here the diagram that in the Jagrat Avastha, there is the Vishwa, the experience of the Vishwa. That's what we see. We see the outside world. That is Vishwa. You know, so we are experiencing Vishwa. And by the way, the word Vishnu means one who is present in the Vishwa. That is another meaning of the word Vishnu, who is present, immanent. Vishwa mein jo vyapak hai, that is called Vishnu. So that is another meaning of this word Vishnu, of the name of Bhagwan Narayan, who's present everywhere. People ask, where is God? God is present in everything, in everyone, in every situation, in every experience. Bhagwan is present. That is the fact. But that realization is what we are trying to move into. And it is a matter of direct first-person realization. And that first-person realization is the realization of the Atma Tattva, that is the experiencer of the Jagat, waking state, of the Swapna, the dream state, of the Shushupti, the deep sleep state. You can see the word experiencer is written in these boxes. All right? The experiencer is the Swam Atma Tattvam, that is who I am. What does Sachin think? Sachin thinks Sachin is a Hindu, Sachin is a brown-skinned person, Sachin thinks Sachin has this much education, Sachin thinks Sachin is this body, Sachin is, all these kinds of things we have in our mind. They are not true. They are only relatively true. Vyavarika. Vedanta is very clear. The Vyavarika Drishti, yes, Vyavarika meaning transactional reality. Just as a reference I'm giving you, if you have not seen the Vedanta videos of Shri Swami Sarvapriyanandaji from the Ramakrishna Mission, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos on Advait Vedanta by him. I would recommend listening to those to make even these points even much, much more clearer if they're not clear already. But he's gone into them in a lot of depth and he's done a tremendous job. Great seva. Great seva. So I'm just giving as reference. I will be giving references of various saints and sadhus and philosophers and all kinds of people as we go along. So just to keep that in mind. Now, Swapna Avastha. This is very interesting. Swapna Avastha is a time of great possibility for us. We don't pay attention to this usually. But when we are awake, to live in the waking world with extreme joy, Maha Anand se divas mein rehna, Maha Anand, Divya Anand se, jo bade sant ho gaye, like Yogi Ji Maharaj in BAPS organization, or like the Paramahansas of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, like Ramakrishna Paramahansa, like Jesus or Guru Nanak, or like Mirabai or Tulsidas Ji. When they are awake, that's just like we're awake. But their wakefulness is different than ours. What is the difference? Sachin is also awake right now. Sachin is doing sadhana as a seva to talk about these things, to present to the world as a seva. Okay, theek hai. That's a good thing. It's a sattvic, good quality activity. Those who are fully awake in Ananda, in the Jagrat Avastha, Anand में जागृत अवस्था में पूर्ण आनंद की अनुभूति, ये हमारा प्रथम लक्ष्य है. This is our first goal. If we don't understand this goal, this should be clear. Otherwise, we will not be able to evolve spiritually. We will get stuck inside the three gunas of Maya. So how do we live in this world with Ananda? In the physical world, in the Jagrat world, how is that possible? It is possible in many different ways. One straightforward way, direct way, is to acknowledge and to accept the presence, isko astitva kehte hain, the presence of Paramatma, Bhagwan, everywhere, in all situations, in every situation, in every experience, at all times, in every thought, in every emotion, in every interaction with everyone, in every situation. That is direct way. That is one path. The one step is the last step. You don't need any other steps. There are no other steps, in fact. All other steps are in that step. All other yogas are in that yoga. Everything is in one, all in one. That is to acknowledge, to accept, and to completely live in the presence of God. in every situation, then what will happen? This antakarana that we see on the right here in the Jagrat Avastha, the ahankar, buddhi, manas and chitta are given over, इसका समर्पण हो जाता है भगवान के चरणों में. ये बहुत बड़ी बात है. यही बात है आध्यात्म का सारांश. इतना ये कि ये जो अंतःकरण है, ये अंतःकरण का समर्पण परमेश्वर के चरणों में, परमेश्वर को, परमेश्वरी को, इष्ट देवता को, to take the antakarana and completely give it over to God. You know the one thing Bhagwan doesn't have? God has everything. You know what God doesn't have? He doesn't have our antakarana. भगवान के पास सब कुछ है, हमारा मन ही नहीं है उनके पास. He can take it by force. He's not going to do that. We said before, अन्यथा कर्तुम शक्ति भगवान की है. वो यूज कर सकते हैं. You can take it by force and you can make the jivatma into a mukta and absorb inside. But that is by force. वो ऐसा नहीं करते. We have to go there by our own free will because we are also a free being. We are also Satchidananda Brahma. भगवान भी सच्चिदानंद है. So this antakarana, ahankar, buddhi, manaschitta, which we started talking about to some extent, we'll go back into it again later. This antakarana is given over to Paramatma. How do we give this over? You know, sometimes we say we want to give something physical. We do external pujas. They're beautiful. And they should be done properly. Why they are done properly? When we do puja archana of Bhagwan ke jo swarupo hai, whether it is Ganesh Prarthana or whether it is Shivling or whether it is Bhagwan Krishna ka vigrah hai, kisi bhi sant ka vigrah hai, whatever it might be. When we do puja archana, there are ways and methods shown of how to do them. You see, why they're developed that way? Every puja, every mantra sadhana, every archana, every kind of worship, Navada Bhakti and all of that, and the taking care of the images of God, the Vigraha Swarupa, all of those sadhanas, and even respect for all the great sages, all of those things that are done are all done only for one purpose. That is, in the waking state, in the Jagrat Avastha, to take the antakarana and to purify it, shuddhata, lane, so to purify it, and then in that purification, it gets beautifully turned over at the feet of God. That turning over at the feet of God is the ahankar, the aham jivam granthi, the granthi that I am this body. I, with my desires and vasanas and all the mess that is there inside the sukshma sharira, all of that thing gets completely obliterated by the light of Brahma Vidya, by the light of bhakti. That is the highest sadhana in the Jagrat Avastha. In the Jagrat Avastha, this is the main task of the mumukshu. Not the bhubukshu. There's two words in Sanskrit. One is bhubukshu, the other is mumukshu. Bhubukshu is one who is wanting the experiences of the waking world, to enjoy the experiences more and more, Rajsik and Tamsik and Satvik, all different kinds of it, wants more enjoyment from the world. That is called a bhubukshu. The mumukshu is wanting ananda that is existing beyond the limitations of the worldly experience. Wants liberation from the bondage of the avastha traya, of the panchakosha, of the sharira traya. See this point very, very clearly. Sachin is speaking for Sachin only. I have to see this myself only. And by the grace of all the gurus and avatars and sages, we can see. If we want to see. If we don't want to see, we are bhubukshu. That's the way it is. You know, that bhubukshu, if you go further, it leads into much more degradation, much more entrapment inside this material world. It doesn't lead to liberation. If it did, everybody would have been liberated long time ago. Isn't it so? If Kam, Krodh, Lobh, all these things, if they led to enlightenment, the whole humanity would be liberated. But it's not the case. It doesn't liberate. It binds further. It destroys further. So the mumukshu, which Shankaracharya ji is emphasizing again and again. And Shankaracharya ji Maharaj is using the two words, tivra mumukshutvam. Wow. That is extraordinary. We all have some mumukshutvam. That's why we're even listening to these ideas, and that's why Sachin is even speaking about them as a seva. Okay. But do we have tivra mumukshutvam? Tivra means the highest level of mumukshutvam. Mumukshutva means desire for total liberation. That is very rare. But if that comes about by akhanda satsang. Manan chintan, bahunam janmanam ante jnanavanam prapadyate. It is a long process. Now we have a choice. We can go through a very long process, multi-lifetime process, or we can choose not to go through that and dive into adhyatmic spiritual realization now and not delay for 1 second. Can we do that? Sure. Is it possible to realize God very, very quickly, very rapidly? Yes. It requires the antakaran to be infused with spiritual wisdom, spiritual jnana, bhakti, bhajan, kirtan. Isme hi rehna, isse bahar nahi nikalna. And you find out what is Maya. In fact, that is how you find out what is Maya. In Vachanamrut, Garada Pratham number 1, Bhagwan Shri Swaminarayan, he has mentioned beautifully what is the definition of Maya. There was a question asked, what is Maya? And he said, when you are meditating on God, when you're trying to connect with God, everything that interferes is Maya. It's a very simple answer, very straightforward, right? But that answer is meaningful for those who are trying to connect continuously with Paramatma. We will find out what is Maya. We will find out what is Maya, not directly, but by trying to connect with God, we will find out what is Maya. Otherwise, how can we find out what is Maya? How does a fish know what it is like to be inside the pond of water until it gets out of the pond of water and is gasping for water? Then it knows, oh my God, my life is inside that water, not outside that water. When a bhakta is beginning the connection with Paramatma, and the connection is so beautiful, and everything that is breaking that connection, one recognizes this is Maya, this is destroying, this is damaging my connection with God. It's like the fish that is taken out of the water. And you know what happens to the fish when it's taken out of the water? It's gasping. That kind of state, when we reach that state to remain inside the pond of devotion, then God realization is right there. See, we can learn how to realize God from a fish. We don't have to have 1,000 gurus. The fish can be our param guru. If we have the vision to understand that experience that the fish has when it is taken outside the water, it is continuous. It cannot think of anything else other than water. It cannot breathe. It cannot survive. It cannot do anything. And if it stays outside that water too long, it will die. The mumukshu will be dead spiritually once it comes out of the Swarup of Paramatma. In Vedas, Bhagwan Swaminarayan mentioned in Gujarati, Jnana ane vairagya rupi pakho je mumukshuni che e vasnaothi bali jai. The vasanas inside, the demands for this worldly experience, they destroy and burn away the wings of Jnana and Vairagya and Bhakti and Dhyan and Bhajan and Kirtan and Mahima and Sadhana. It burns away Adhyatmic Sadhana. And one gets trapped inside the sansar and suffers again and again and again and again. Burns in the sansar. Davanal Agni. This sansar is a davanal agni. That's what it is. There is no two ways about it. Look at if you observe the sansar, there's 99.99999% suffering in the sansar. And whatever sukha is there, it is tiny, it is momentary, and it also has dukh inside there. If it is taken beyond a certain range, it has dukh. This is a fact. This param satya baat hai. Sachin is not making that up. We can observe this thing. It doesn't mean we're hating the sansar or disliking it or anything. We have to know how to live in it without losing mumukshutvam, losing the connection with Paramatma, and live with the people of the world with love, affection, care, everything, but never drowning in the bhavasagar, never drowning in the ignorance and agnan. Now, we talk about ignorance, by the way. Since I mentioned that word, I want to show you something here. Just a moment. There's a really nice diagram here. What is ignorance? What is maya? What is agnan? What is it? Agnan has 5 characteristics, by the way. We talked about this day before yesterday a little bit. That agnan is anadi, it is anirvachaniya, it is trigunatmak, bhavarupa, and it is gnan virodhi. What is agnan? The word agnan means not gnan. Means not. So see, this drowning in the bhavasagar. Bhavasagar means, sagar means ocean. Bhava means this worldly experience. And worldly experience comes again and again, again and again, again and again, again and again. When did it begin? There is no beginning. When did the Jivatma get into Maya? There is no beginning point of the Jivatma getting into Agnan. It has been in Maya from beginningless time. That is why Agnan is Anadi. It doesn't have a beginning. Also, it cannot be described as real or unreal. That is Anirvachaniya. Does it exist? Doesn't not. For example, if you look at that mirage, that mrugjar, does it exist? In some sense, there seems like something is there, but there's actually nothing there. This jagat that we see, this waking world that we see outside, is it actually there? Shankaracharya ji will say, it is there relatively as a reflection. This is the philosophical angle. It's a reflection, like the mrugjar. It appears like it is there, like reality. It is not. The reality is something else, actually. See, the sunlight that is reflecting on the desert surface, on the sand surface, it creates the illusion from a distance that there is water there. It looks like it's called mrugjar, right? The deer are running towards that mrugjar. We can see that on the road surfaces also. Doesn't have to be in a desert. We're driving a car on the summer day, and the sun is shining, and if you're on a big highway, you can see on the road also. You feel like there's a pond of water over there. It looks like water. Similarly, the experience of this jagat, and particularly the running after the experiences of this jagat, is called mrug trishna. Trishna means thirst. Thirst is real. But you're not going to find a glass of water on that desert. And the more anybody runs towards that, the more thirsty they become. And what happens? They die. Running after the material experiences in this world is very similar to this mrugjar. Now, there's a difference here. I want to just point something out very clearly here. These analogies are not 100% perfect. For example, if I put a gulab jamun in my mouth, is that mrugjar? It is not. Gulab jam gives me an experience. Running after the mrugjar doesn't give me any experience. So the analogy is maybe 60-70% okay. There is an experience in the material world. Of course there is. But that experience is trigunatmik. It's within the realm of the 3 gunas of Maya. For example, if I'm putting on this white little t-shirt here, I have a certain experience of putting on the shirt. If I put some lotion on my face, if I shave my face and put some, this anti-itch lotion or whatever, those aftershave and all that thing, That's, smells nice and everything. Is that an illusion? No, it's not an illusion. This is why Vishishtadvaita is different from Advaita. If I have a wonderful meal prepared at home, 7 or 8 nice items, and even I take them and I offer them to Bhagavan, bhog lagate hai. We, out of bhakti bhav, we do that, let's say. And then we eat the prasad. We call it prasadam, and it has nirgun bhav, all that, true. But do we not experience it? Do we experience, I like this, I like these things? We say Bhagwan ka prasad hai, so we just eat it like that. But we have experience. The Mrugjal analogy is only 60% okay. People misunderstand that analogy also. The Mrugjal analogy is there to only highlight the fact that running excessively in the sansar is a problem. It doesn't mean that you are not thirsty, you are not hungry. It doesn't mean, what you need is real food, real water. Something that doesn't exist. Now, what the Mrugjal analogy is about Ananda. That we're looking for Ananda. We cannot find Ananda through the objects of the senses. We find Sukh, Dukh, Dvanda, duality. That is our experience. That is our own experience. We find duality. But when we find duality, we are trying to maximize Sukh. Sukh prapti, Dukha nivrutti. Okay, fine. That is natural, obviously. But to utilize Sukh that we have as a doorway into Ananda is Buddhi Yoga. To stay away from the dukkha that's there. For example, we have 3 meals a day. We have to eat a certain quantity that is satisfying, liking, enjoyable, all that. That is Sukh. But going outside, just because we like something, we go after it further, that will cause dukkha. So to keep the Sukha experience within a range that is going to enhance our sadhana further, no problem. I just heard, in fact, the other day, one of the Swaminarayan sadhus on YouTube mentioned beautifully. He says that when we are eating our bhojan, Bhagwan ko prasad karte, lagat, and then from there, they eat in the wooden bowl, the sadhus and all that. I won't go into that discussion here. But when they eat, let's say they have let's say, for example, they have their breakfast, right? They have some amount of quantity of food. The way he explained it was so beautiful. He says, this is energy now for the next 6 hours for bhajan, kirtan, manan, chintan, Bhagwan ke saath, link, to establish the linkage, to do seva. It is energy to do that. So that is the mumukshu bhav. The bhubukshu bhav is very different. It's, oh my God, I'm going to just eat a lot of stuff and just go to sleep, and that's it. Go to sleep for 2-3 hours, or maybe watch a nice 2 or 3 hours of fantastic movies and all that. Okay, well, woe be hey. We're not denying that. That is what this diagram is showing us. This diagram that is showing us that Maya is trigunatmak. Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So if an individual decides to watch 2 hours of a particular movie, okay, fine. That is part of the experience of the world. We are living in the world also. Now the question simply becomes, can we still, because there is desire for all those things. And not only that, how does a person live in this world without experiencing the world? You cannot live in this world without it. You're going to experience the world. Spiritualize it. That's the technology. If you are going to watch a movie, you have a desire to watch a movie, bring in the Adhyatmic vision. Just keep Shankaracharya Ji and Bhagwan Krishna with you on the left and the right. That's all you have to do. And they're also watching with you. What are they seeing? Try to see through their eyes. The same thing. If, for example, if you watch a 2-hour movie, like, for example, that Maverick movie that came out recently, this Tom Cruise movie, very famous. It's like a continuation from that. It's a fighter pilot movie and all that. As an example, take any movie, take any scene of any kind. If Shankaracharya Ji, Ramakrishna Paramhans, Sajanand Swami, and Bhagwan Krishna are sitting with you, Actually sitting with you, and they're watching that same movie. They have popcorn also. They're all holding popcorn bag, with a soda. Koi baat nahi. Keep them with you. You bring God. See, this is how we can realize where is the temple, what is spirituality. If you go to a movie theater next time, try it. Or if you're watching a movie at home, keep a small image of Sri Krishna Bhagwan with you on this left sofa, and say he's also watching it like we are. What is he seeing? You know what will happen if you do that? You watch about 5 minutes of it, you will hit pause and start to meditate. Aap dhyan mein jayenge. If you do this, actually, try it. I challenge anybody to try it. And if you do it, I want to hear from your experience. Aapka anubhav kya hai? This is called spiritual experimentation. Spirituality is an experiment. It is not simply blind belief. It is experimentation. Experiment with spirituality, and you will find your own anubhav what it is. That is the whole point. So there are ways of trying to understand. Now, please don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to say that, that one either should or should not enjoy the material thing. Material experiences have an impact on the system. But the fact is that when we get into things like Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha, to even begin to understand these things, we have to see our experience, the impact of the experience of the world on the inner space. And in doing so, there are long approaches, and there's always one direct approach. The Bhagavad Gita itself shows two approaches. Multiple approaches, but bahunam janmanam ante. After the end of millions of lifetimes, you can realize the truth. Or Bhagavan Krishna says, Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shuni cheva shapakech. Panditaha samadarachina yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. Start with that I am present everywhere. Stay with that. Stay with the presence of Paramatma in everything, in all situations, at all times. Then we are immediately breaking the bondage of time. That is called Kalatit Sthiti. We are breaking it from inside by staying with Paramatma without break in every single experience in the Jagrat Avastha. Every single experience. Do not separate Paramatma from your experiences. This is the biggest problem in spirituality, in Adhyatmic process. You know what people do? If you take take a Hindu family, they have a house, right? What do we say? Ek Bhagwan ka room hai. What a ridiculous idea. Bhagwan ka koi room hota hai? It's totally, this is the that is Maya itself. Bhagwan is present in all your rooms, not just that one room. That is the mandir room. You see, he's present in every single situation, in every single experience of life. And when we realize that, God is not only inside that small temple. We have separated God from, inside the mandir and the temple and other places from the rest of our life. What do you think will happen if we bring Paramatma into the rest of our life? We don't want to do that. He says, my God, let's keep him away from us a little bit. If you bring him too close, then how can we experience the world of Maya? That's the thing. But that transition does happen for a Tivra Mumukshu. Then there is no coming and going. See, like this, I'll give you let me close with this today. If you are a multi-billionaire, $100 billion, you have. Financial example, people are easy to understand this. It doesn't matter where you go. You could go into a homeless shelter, dressed up like a homeless person. You could even check into a homeless shelter. But you know that you are a billionaire. You're going there just to experience that. Or you could go to one of those fancy parties, or you could go to the high-class, rich places, fancy hotels. Like there's a hotel in Hawaii, $10,000 per night at that time. This was 10, 15 years ago. Michael Jackson and some others stayed. This is called Princeville, Kauai. It's an idyllic, heavenly place. आपको लगेगा आप स्वर्ग में आ गए. And if you want to stay in that hotel, on the top floor, that is $10,000 per night. So if you are a multi-billionaire, you can afford that. You're not going to forget you're a multi-billionaire. So the not forgetting who you are, wherever you go, you have the anand that you are the multi-billionaire. It doesn't matter if the thing costs $10,000 a night. So who cares? What difference does it make? It's a drop. It's a droplet only. Similarly, this jagat, this jagrat avastha is just a drop only. What isme kya badi baat hai? When you have Bhagwan का जो आनंद है, भगवान का जो स्वरूप है, इसमें सब when the opening happens into the Atma and Paramatma, this world and its experience is a droplet only. In fact, the whole 14 lokas are just a drop. They're of no consequence. There's a chapter in the Mahabharata called Moksha Dharma. In the Bhishma Parva, that's where it is. And in that chapter, the Swarga Lokas, the heaven, talking about Hawaii and all that, we're talking about the higher lokas, the Swarga Lokas, outside these planetary systems and all. Those Swarga Lokas are considered to be like hell compared to the abodes of God, Bhagwan के comparison में. ऐसा लिखा है मोक्ष धर्म में. It's a relative comparison. So when we bring Paramatma into every experience, that is where Bhagwan ki aseem krupa hoti hai. Get Bhagwan out of that small room, out of the temple, out of the different sampradayas and all those things. Those things are all extreme limitations with boundaries around them. That is a beginning point. It's not an end point. The end point is Nijatmanam Brahmarupam Dehatraya Vilakshanam. Beyond all the boundaries of all of these limitations, they have to be thrown out from the mind. And only then, Bhagwan, the truth of the Gita, Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra. Bhagwan didn't say, you see me in my temples. There's no mention of a temple in the Gita, by the way. I challenge anybody to find one word that has a word temple in there, or mandir, or some place of worship. That is not there. The whole reality is a temple because the temple is you. You are that temple. And that is where Bhagwan exists in your heart. Garada Madhya 13 Vachanamrut. Hriday Akash ma Bhagwan ni murti dekha hai. In Garada Madhya 13, Bhagwan Swaminarayan mentioned this. All right, so we will stop here for today to do the Mantra Pushpanjali, and we will continue on these topics tomorrow.